And thanks for staying with us here on The Pulse. There's a need for us to take you to the voting venue of the New Patriotic Party's presidential aspirants. My colleague Samuel Mbura is joining us now with the latest on the new set of individuals. I think 3 were scheduled for the voting today. Samuel Mbura is there for us. I mean, what can you report in terms of how that unfolded today? How many of them in all?
So, Blessed, the last aspirant is before the voting committee now. That is the Assin Central MP, Agyapong. The first person to appear for the voting before the committee was the former Energy Minister, Boakye Jako. After him was the former General Secretary of the NPP, Agyapong. So they have had their turns, and their session lasted just about an hour and 40 minutes. So we've pitched camp outside waiting for the last aspirant I mentioned earlier, Agyapong, to be released by the committee. I must say that today's voting is as normal as yesterday. The environment is quite calm here, and we don't have so many, some of the supporters coming to support their aspirants. So you can only go in with a few people to meet the vetting committee. I'm talking about the aspirants who come for the vetting. So that is the norm here. But when the former General Secretary of the NPP, Agyapong, met the vetting committee, he briefed the media that it went so well, and he's optimistic of sailing through to the next stage of the elections. However, he raised concerns about some salient issues ahead of the elections. One, he spoke about what he describes as a new dawn. That's the message he's trumpeting in his campaigns. And he's actually challenging the delegates to vote for someone who has values, someone who has principles, someone who has sacrificed for the NPP. According to him, the decision to be taken by the delegates in the upcoming elections would represent generations, and they have to exercise it wisely. If not, the future of the next generation would not be in shape or be in jeopardy, in short. And he is also advising the national executives of the party to ensure fairness. He wants an even-handed election process so that they can all see through, and then it will facilitate unity. So Mr. Boakye Jako, who was the first person to be vetted, did not actually speak to the media. He told me when I made the attempt to engage him that they have been directed not to address the media of the vetting, so we didn't get a direct message from him. But before the vetting, I engaged his campaign manager, Michael McKenzie, who said that the delegates are resonating with their messages and they are optimistic of moving to the next stage of the election. So I must say that all in all, the aspirants that have come before the committee are cocksure of their chances. They tell me that after this exercise, they would move to the next stage successfully, which is the Super Delegates Conference. That is if the vetting committee presents its report by end of Thursday and they go through. So that is what they have been saying. But what I can add is that for now we cannot tell who has qualified in the vetting or not. According to the revised timelines of the party, the committee would present a report after the vetting, and that would tell those that have passed through. Those that do not have, or those that may not be able to make it through the vetting to the next stage, would have the opportunity to seek redress by sending appeals to the appeals committee of the party, and thereafter they can take further actions on it. So in all, we have 6 aspirants that have been vetted yesterday and today. Let me just remind our viewers that we had the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, vetting yesterday. We also have Kojo Poku, an energy consultant, and the third candidate was Alan Chemantin, who is the the former Trade and Industry Minister. So that's how the sequence has been. 3 aspirants per day. We know there are 10. So after today, we have another set of 3 that will be appearing for the committee. We are expecting Mr. Jogati, Dr. Konedu Preko to appear before the committee, and the last person will be Adainimo. He's the one supposed to be the last person to be vetted. That will be on Thursday. So, Blessed, the situation here has been calm, and all aspirants are optimistic of making it to the elections and eventually leading the party.
I was just going to ask about the directive from the party as to why candidates are not allowed to brief the media on how the vetting session went. Is there any explanation to this?
Well, the vetting was held in camera, meaning it is not for public consumption. I was told that this is it's a family affair, and whatever happens there remains there. It's not supposed to be shared with the public. So that's just the directive that they have given them. They can only assure their supporters and the media of their chances of sailing to the next election. But as to the details or what transpired, they are not, or they have been restricted from sharing with us what they have been telling the committee or what the committee has been telling them. And that is one of the reasons the media has not been granted access into the vetting area of the committee. So we have to pitch camp outside whilst monitoring proceedings, and that has been the norm since yesterday and today. So if you come to the campaign office of the NPP here at Kokomlemle, you see the media pitching camp just outside the office whilst waiting for the developments or monitoring the turnaround in events as far as the vetting is concerned.
Here's the thing, and many have also asked the question as to why the party is deciding to use this venue when we know that the headquarters was the venue where all of these forms were filed. Also, we saw lots of supporters thronging the headquarters of the party. Is that the reason, perhaps, for which the venue is being changed for the vetting?
Well, I asked a similar question to those who matter, but there was no any concrete explanation as to why they had to hold a vetting committee here. But what I was told was that this has been the norm. The picking and filing of nomination will be at the main party office, but since this is the campaign office of the party, it has all the necessary equipment or environment that they will need to host the aspirants and then engage them. So we don't have a specific reason why they are holding this. The party has 2 offices, so anywhere they prefer, they would go there. But supporters have not been stopped from coming here. If you're a supporter and you want to come and then support your aspirant, they would allow it. But you will not get into the premises of the campaign office. Maybe you have to stand outside there whilst waiting for your aspirant. Because yesterday we had supporters of Dr. Mahmoud Baumia coming. Today we also had Kennedy Agyapong with some of his supporters coming along with him to give him that morale for the vetting process. So it is not a blanket directive that you should not bring supporters along. Though what I'm told is that you cannot, I'm talking about the team of every aspirant cannot exceed more than 5 people getting into the vetting area. So they are just trying to control the crowd because the space there is not also enough to contain larger crowds. And that is the situation at hand, Blessed.
Any sight of the former Speaker of Parliament, Aaron Michael Quay, who's now chairing this committee? What's been his impression about the process so far?
All the vetting committee members have been tight-lipped so far. I tried engaging Frank Davis, who is a member of the vetting committee, earlier today, but he said that they wouldn't want to speak on record. The public will get to know the opinions and the recommendations by the vetting committee by close of Thursday. So for now, they wouldn't speak to the media. When Professor Mike Okwe arrived, I actually made that attempt, but he reiterated that particular point that until they are done, they would not communicate to the media. But we are hoping that maybe today there may be a change in position on this. But yesterday, that was it. And this morning, that was the situation, because Honorable Obi Amwa is the one that has been designated to speak to the media. But yesterday, when I made the attempt, he wasn't available to comment on what actually transpired. So what I've observed is that they are trying to manage and control conversations or the engagement they have had with the aspirants in the vetting.
Okay, my colleague Samuel Mbura therefore is monitoring the vetting of 10 aspirants. It's unclear if the party will be trimming the number now to 5, without which the party will have to hold a superdelegates conference before the main elections. We'll see the fallouts from that. But one of the aspirants has gone ahead of the others just after his vetting to comment on some matters, because the flag bearer hopeful, Alan Kojucho says, Ghana's current IMF deal could have been avoided if his ideas on the President's Special Initiative, PSI, introduced under the former President John Agyapong Kufuor had been accepted by Ghanaians. He was speaking at the commencement of his Greater Accra delegate store somewhere around the Ablekuma constituency here in the Greater Accra region.
President Kufuor, I was one of the senior ministers in Kufuor's government. PSI Medebaya, Ghana for Kamutia Masama, and Ghana Yanko IMF. No man may cast say Yano, yeah, and I am Yanko Tenefia, Ghana, Apeja.
Okay, very brief statement there, but let's get more from my colleague Carlos Kaloni, who's been monitoring that event. First of all, Carlos, what's the event about, and why is the former trade minister speaking about the IMF program?
All right, so this is the commencement of Alan Chairman's team to actually tour the Greater Accra region to visit delegates of the party, where he's going to share his message to the party delegates to vote for him. So he actually commenced his engagement with the delegates from the Ablekuma Central, East, and West constituencies in Accra, where he was speaking to the delegates, and it was at that ground that he made the comment about the IMF deal, where he said that if his contributions or proposals under the PSI were taken serious by Ghanaians, we would not have gone to the IMF as we speak.
But we know that he's had the opportunity of serving as the Trade and Industry Minister. Why is he not making any comments on that?
So that is surprising to many that I have been speaking with. Some delegates, even from the party, were surprised that he made that statement, which sought to suggest that he was trying to distance himself from the economic management team of the current administration. So one would have thought that he would have touched on key areas. But indeed, he said the idea of one district, one party, and all that were part of his contributions in government. So he briefly touched on some of those things, but then some delegates were not happy that he tried to distance himself from the economic management team.
Did he comment on what may have accounted for specifically this very administration's decision to head to the IMF, for instance?
No, really, he didn't provide further clarity on that. And in fact, I tried speaking to a member of his campaign team, Sylvester Tete, to try to understand what might have caused him to make that particular statement, which is a very serious statement to me, because a lot of the critics of the NPP believe that Alan has been a key member of this administration, and now that he comes out to state that his suggestions were not taken, it shows a lot of doubt and ambiguity out there. So we pushed to get some clarity on it, but then we couldn't get that. And so we are pushing hard to see if we can get some clarity on what he actually meant by that statement.
Okay, then Carlos Galoni joining us with the latest on the speech by Alan Kojo-Charating, generating a lot of heat within the rank and file of the party, and knowing that he served as the former Trades and Industry Minister under the Kufuor administration, and now under the Nana Addo administration, but is no longer there in post, or at post, I should say.